Hey, folks. Welcome back to the last episode for this week, and Merry Christmas. It's nearly there. We are getting close. Luke chapter 12 today, sitting down with Steve Danny on the Bible. Wait, what? Oh, nice. I like it.
Baritone.
Yeah, Steve just told me he realizes when I'm doing it live that it's not pre-recorded every time.
That's right. I like it.
You like it? You went baritone. That's very nice. There's all kinds of whats when it reads the Bible. So we're in Luke 12, Steve, and we're going to just handpick maybe two or three different little thoughts out of this rather than try and do this long chapter. So first of all, Jesus is talking about the Pharisees and their hypocrisy and how to avoid it. You hypocrites.
Hypocrites. That's it. And he's confronted them several times about that, hey? So I'm just reading here about that. 12:2-3, if I look underneath the footnotes, it says, God will unmask all hypocrisy, while on the other hand, he will provide opportunity for greater proclamation of the gospel.
I like it. So he's not going to allow hypocrisy to stand.
Mm-hmm.
And he will, on the converse, he will actually amplify truth.
That's right. Opportunity for proclamation of the gospel.
So whatever you have seen, so it says the time is coming when everything that is covered up will be revealed.
That's it.
And all that is secret will be made known to all. And whatever you have said in the dark will be heard in the light. And whatever you have whispered behind closed doors will be shouted from the housetops for all to hear. I think, picking up on what they're saying there, there's actually two perspectives or two truths held in this one passage.
Okay, that's
the
good.
Things that you've done that are hidden that you shouldn't have done, where you've been because it starts by saying, beware of the hypocrisy of the Pharisees, because they make a show in public and then they live a selfish life behind closed doors. Right, yeah. So if you live a duplicitous, hypocritical, that's the word I'm after, hypocritical life, the things that you do in the dark that you shouldn't do, the way you live that's different to how it is in public, the Lord's going to show that up.
It's like the Facebook showboaters.
Like the Facebook showboaters we talked about previously. Yes, that's right. It's like we live one thing in public and another thing. And Jesus is saying it's not how it's going to be. If you're living that hypocritical life, God will make sure that your hypocrisy will find you out. So that's the negative side of it. And that's how I've always read it. But what you just read to me there shows there's actually a positive side to it too, which is sometimes you may feel like you've lived the gospel life and you've tried to shine your light, to use the metaphor we used in yesterday's episode.
Yep.
But it feels like, not because of your own fault, but it feels like you've had a bushel shoved over you. You feel like you haven't been able to shine your light. You feel like it didn't land. You shared the good news with that person. You showed kindness to that person and it didn't land in their life. Jesus is saying, trust that the gospel is at work and that even the things that seem to be hidden in darkness will eventually bear fruit and come into the light.
I like that. I'm glad you're my pastor.
I've never seen it that way before. It's only your comment that made me think about it. I've always thought of this only in the negative.
Well, they're being self-delusional, aren't they?
They are, definitely.
If they think that they can live this way.
Yeah.
And, Christians are under a lot of pressure because they expect us to be perfect, and as soon as we make a fault, you're
a hypocrite.
Bit of a hypocrite.
Yeah. Whereas if we can go, look, we're not perfect. We're on a journey. We're trying to become more like Christ, and we do make mistakes, and we apologize, and we say, hey, we won't do that again. We did the best we could, and we came up short. But our heart is to honor God, and our heart is to be a true person in public and behind closed doors. And that is the best that we can do. Mm-hmm. And hopefully in the process of doing that, we live and learn, and God honors that, and the truth will come out. And not the truth will come out to vindicate us, but the truth will come out to bring the light of the gospel into other people's lives.
It's a bit of a shock to some people when, a Christian makes admission. They say, okay, sorry, I come across as a hypocrite, or I've made mistakes, because everyone's so self-defensive, aren't they?
Yeah, and we've got to break that. Yeah, the kingdom of God has to break that. We have to be willing to go, we're on a journey figuring this thing out. And if Jesus is prepared to let 24 or 12 or 72 disciples go out there when there's still a lot of conflicting motives in their world, we don't have to be perfect. We just need to be faithful and be open to learn. And you know what? I've been pastoring for a long time, and I find this harder to do than Jill, but she's very good at being vulnerable and real. But overwhelmingly, people respond to that because they intuitively know that, "Hey, I'm not expecting you to be perfect. I'm
Mm.
just," and they value the fact that you're also a human on a journey working
Mm.
through your own
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Well, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
Do not worry.
Mm.
In light of today's situation, economics and tightening our belts,
Yep.
and comes Christmas, and what kind of food are you going to go for? The seafood, or is it going to be baked beans, or
Yep. Yep.
with spam or something like
Yep.
that, tin of
Yep. All
spam
of
or what?
valid questions, aren't they?
You know,
And into that, Jesus says, "Don't worry about what you'll eat or drink or wear, etc." Yeah.
we're all together around the table. We're together. We're sharing the love of God together.
Yeah. Family. Yeah. So I guess Jesus' words to us is, your happiness, your fulfillment this Christmas season in life is not going to be dependent on how much food's on your table or how much stuff you have or how expensive the ham is that you have on your table or whatever it might be. The stuff that's going to make a difference is not money. God can look after that. Don't worry about what you'll eat or drink. Seek, what does he say? Seek first the kingdom. This is Luke 12. It's also
Yeah.
obviously famously Matthew 6 in the Sermon on the Mount. Seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added to you as well. There's definitely an invitation there. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking about back a few chapters ago when he sent out the disciples and he gave them authority and he said, "Don't worry about taking your bags and all your extra clothes and all your extra food. Trust me." It's the same principle. Trust that I'll feed you as you live for the kingdom.
I like the one with when he says, "Consider the lilies, how they grow. They
Mm.
neither toil nor spin, and yet I say to you, even Solomon, all his glory was not arrayed like one of these." I remember with these guys, with the Mudhouse Musings, with the Soren Kierkegaard, he's got a book, Birds of the Air and Lilies of the Field.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I remember. He had 3 discourses, but I know one's obedience, one was silence. I forget what the other one was. But I think first he talked about getting in that silence, that clutter of worry, of human concern. You know what I mean? We're all worried about the human concern.
Have to silence that.
Yeah, have to silence that, get underneath.
Mhm.
You know,
How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you get below the surface of the worry and the anxiety? Because it's a really good point you're making.
well, first, just that voice and that chatter all the time about we have to pay the bills. I go to work and all these sort of things. You've got to get underneath that and find out what's more important.
Mhm.
And for me, it's the Christian life and knowing that I put my trust in Jesus Christ.
Good.
Right.
So it's in a realignment
So I
of your
start
values.
realignment of my values, and
I like it.
and a silence, and the other discourse is obedience.
Yep.
Just trusting God, obey that
Mhm.
that road, that the way of life that Jesus wants you to live.
Which ironically may actually require us to give up even more of the things that we're afraid of giving up, isn't it?
Well, there you go. That's right.
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to have enough money for a good Christmas this year, but the Lord will say, "Hey, I'll prepare for you. How about you bless someone else this Christmas? How about you buy them a hamper? How about you do something?" And you
That's
go, "That
interesting,
doesn't
isn't
make
it?
sense, Lord."
Yeah, because
But
I'm
truth-
worrying about,
Yeah.
but if you get in that silence, underneath that silence, maybe God
Beautiful.
is telling you that,
I'm taking care of you. Now
Yeah.
you go and be my hands and feet to others.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. It's I like
But
the
I
way you
wish I
say that, get
knew
below the
more
surface.
about. But this is realm of human concern that he called.
Yeah.
Everything's a pattern. Monday I do this. Friday's this. It's like sometimes you just got to get underneath all that.
You got to get below the noise. Yeah.
Yep.
And as you were saying it, I was thinking of the words of the scripture where it says, roll your cares onto Jesus because he cares for you. And that's part of what I would do is when I'm anxious or worried or upset or stressed tends to be my one.
Yeah.
I have to roll those cares onto Jesus. I have to go, Jesus,
Right.
all my stressing in the world, I can't change this. There's nothing I can do that is going to change this situation. So I have to trust that that's over to you. Now that I'm trusting that I've handed over to you, help me get out of my own head and help me do something for someone else. Pray for someone else. Bless someone else. And I do that consciously. I don't always do it well, but I think that's the key because we live in our own head when we get anxious.
well, you get stressed. And when you get stressed, your sense of judgment
Yeah.
is not right.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know, take a deep breath.
Yep.
I don't know.
Breathe in the Spirit.
Yeah.
Breathe out.
Yeah.
Lord, I'm giving it to you. I'm gonna trust you now. Continue to use me. What can I do to bless someone else today? I think that's a big part of this overcoming this worry and truly relying on Jesus to get to the point where we can say, look, if Jesus can care for the lilies of the field, he can look after Rowan, he can look after Steve.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that realm of human concern, one of it is that consumerism,
Yeah.
like you feel you have to, I don't know, buy the latest things and gadgetry and whatnot,
Yep. Settle for the old ones. Yep, for sure. Settle for a simpler life. All right. Well, there was one towards the end you wanted to talk about as we wrap up this week's episodes. What was that? They were going to talk about this confusing thing where it says Jesus causes division.
Christ brings division. I came to send fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how distressed I am till it is accomplished. Do you suppose that I come to give peace on earth? I tell you, not at all, but rather division. What's going on there, Rowan?
That's a really confronting one. We talk about gentle Jesus bringing unity, and then he says this.
Getting the apostles tuned in and getting it all right. Now off you guy goes.
Yep.
Off you guys go. And
yep.
So
well, I did a bit of research into this one because this is one of those. Occasionally there's things in Scripture where I've heard the answer, but it never really sinks in. Right. I go, every time someone asks me the answer to that question, I always struggle to figure it out. And this is one of those because it seems opposite of what Jesus is about, which is unity. Mm. So there's a degree in which it can be about, the understanding. The simplest, before I read what the research is, the simplest thing I always would have said about it was that the message of Christ does bring division. Not because Jesus seeks to bring division, but because it's a clash of two worldviews. It's a clash of two kingdoms.
When the worlds collide,
Yeah, so you've got an upside-down kingdom which says love your neighbor, give up, prefer others, take up your cross, deny yourself. And you've got a kingdom of the world, you just said like a materialism, that whole, commercialism thing, which is, hey, look after yourself, get the best for yourself. You'll be happy when you get your needs met.
Right.
You cannot help but see those two things come to loggerheads because they're two completely conflicting worldviews. And so when Jesus is saying that will happen, it will happen in families. It will happen in workplaces. That's what he means by division. We're not going to...
What is this? What do they call imperative verb or something? What is, when he's saying, he's actually literally saying, but I come here to cause...
I'm here to cause division, yeah. I think what he's meaning... I'll read what my notes say in a minute, but here's what I think he's meaning. It's not that Jesus wants to come and sow division. Jesus' heart is for unity. But Jesus is also aware that the world is so broken that the only way to right the wrongs of this world is going to have to be a little bit militant. It's going to have to be, I got to come with a different message that is going to bring division. And in fact, if I want to put the world right, I'm going to have to come after those wrong values.
I'm getting you. I think I'm getting you there. Like sometimes you need to... Like, okay, if we're all struggling, sometimes God makes us struggle even more in order for you to, I don't know, turn the other way or something. Like there's a pressure that he might put on you.
We get confronted by how much we're complicit with the world's way of living.
Yeah.
And that confronts us, and it's divisive, and we got to make a choice. Are we going to keep living for ourselves, or are we going to live for God?
Yeah.
That's where the division is. Here's what I just Googled into ChatGPT to get the answers, and it said, it says that here's three arguments as to what Jesus means by bringing division. One is that division is a natural byproduct of allegiance to Jesus. Following Jesus will create conflict even within families because of differing beliefs and values, which is the one I just said. That it's going to happen because there's a clash of two kingdoms. Argument two is that peace comes through conflict. Some argue that Jesus bringing ultimate peace, but it will come through the conflict of confronting sin and brokenness. Same thing, I think. That's what I just said as well. Argument 3 is that there's some kind of end-time eschatological fulfillment. The division reflects the urgency of choosing sides in light of God's coming kingdom. I think there's truth in that. I think you'd be better off sticking more to the first two, which is this understanding that if you're going to live in a different way to the way of the world, you're inevitably going to come into conflict with people who are living by the world's values. And what do? We don't seek conflict. I see Christians who then go and blast those of the world who live by a different standard. Mm-hmm. What Jesus is not, I do not believe what Jesus is advocating for here is this willful desire. He's basically not telling Christians, you got to go out there and pick a fight with people. Mm-hmm. You got to go out there and sow division with people. You got to go out there and be so different that the world hates you. I think there's a wrong motive in that. I think that living out the difference will mean that some in the world will hate us, but it's not that the fight is the end in itself. Last chapter, he talked about the Good Samaritan. That's exactly the opposite. It's the fact that he did good that brought him into tension with the world's system, the Pharisees' system, the priest system that was against God's kingdom. So just doing good, loving the unlovable, caring for the broken, that will cause division.
It's like a creative tension going on there.
I like it, creative tension.
Yeah,
good musical term. Yeah.
It's the title of my next song, Creative Tension.
But there is.
When the world collides.
Jesus will say things like this. There is. Jesus will say, the more the light shines in the darkness, you mentioned it, the darkness doesn't comprehend it. There's a natural tension, division that comes as God's kingdom shines into a dark world. And we shouldn't be seeking it. We should just be aware of it and continue to love those who might be living by a different kingdom value to us.
Yeah, that's right. Wow.
All right. Well, we're done for the week.
I think so.
So?
No more questions from me anyway.
All right.
So.
Thanks for being with me, Steve. It was great. It's good fun. We'll do some more next year, hey?
Absolutely. And I'll crank that aircon back on.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty hot and sweaty in here. God bless you, everyone. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk to you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Bible. Wait, what? Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And you can also find us on all the socials. Just search The Bible. Wait, what? And to find out more about our church, just search C3 Camden, C3 Picton, or C3 Thirroul on the web or on the socials. Thanks for being with us today, and we look forward to talking to you on the next episode of The Bible. Wait, what?